saving, doing lots of things. It's angels with scaly wings. Ooh. And it lets us know what that music's about. You are an ambassador. Teleported to a strange land. Something's off with this place. Explore a town full of secrets. And the people who keep them. Hope. Remy. Black holes, quantum entanglement, and intrigue. Adine, higher self, premonition, and solar. Anna, somatic barrier and passion. Bryce, he's leadership, ego, and refracture syndrome. And here are the rest. It's the angels with scaly wings. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's new. It is on PS5. It's from our friends over at Retaliaca Games. It is also, I believe, available on the Nintendo Switch. If you are just joining us and keeping with tradition, I know nothing about this game except that I did, in fact, see it on either a Nintendo Direct or a PlayStation whatever they call those now, not at home, PlayStation Symphonies, I don't know, but I've seen this somewhere. It looked neat. It looked like Ace Attorney, maybe with dragons. We're gonna find out right now. System detecting user profile. User profile not found. That's me. Enter my name. Ugh. Seth Trav. Blue, red, yellow, green, gray. Ugh. Yeah, that works. Just choose a color. I'm gonna choose red. Yeah. Before we start, please review the following information. Use X to advance text and select menu options. Brings up the menu. That's the start-ish button. Whatever that button is. They don't call it start. They call it lines. Press L1 to review past messages. Rewind. Press R1 to toggle skipping. Blah, hides text window. If you wish to view this information again, you can do so from the main menu. That would be all. The year is 20XX. Like Mega Man. Only recently has humanity discovered a portal that leads into a different world, populated with a race of intelligent talking dragons. I was one of the few to travel to this world, but maybe I should start at the beginning. It all began when we discovered a strange device in the middle of nowhere during one of our expeditions, a portal. That's it. I had heard about similar technology before, though that had been more of an experimental level. From what I knew, other portals had been created in the past and were under consideration for mass application. As for this one in particular, though, we did not know who had built it, nor when, or why we found it in the wilderness where we did. What was more exciting to us was the fact that it was functional. It's the Stargate. After our first tests, we found there was someone else on the other side who was in possession of a similar portal, and our attempts at communication through letters were successful. But in the end, the machine's extraordinary demand for power meant we needed to act quickly, as we wouldn't be able to keep the portal open much longer. When we made this known to the other side, we received a very unexpected reply, a letter of invitation. After some deliberation, it was decided to accept their hospitality and send the person to the other side. There was an individual who took the job almost immediately.
That's the guy.
Reza Izquierdo. I knew him, or rather, I had known him. We attended the same school back then, and even had a few classes together. We never really were very close friends, but we talked to each other occasionally and hung around with the same crowd sometimes. However, we still went our separate ways in the end. I wasn't sure what to think about the whole thing, but he had to have known what he was doing. He certainly was brave. Either that, or just very, very foolish. While I wasn't sure which, his courage was applauded by others. After all, he couldn't possibly have known who or what would await him on the other end of the portal, and if he did meet someone there, who knew what kinds of intentions they might have. Not that any speculation on our part would have made a difference. When the day finally came, through he went, with applause echoing across the area, equipped with only the clothes he wore, his multi-tool, a gun, and a device on his wrist that acted as a PDA. Then we waited. The crowd that was applauding him slowly disappeared when the enthusiasm died down, as there was nothing for us to do but wait and speculate. Approximately 8 hours later, we received our first message from him. While we had assumed the portal led to another in a different country, or maybe on a different continent, the reality turned out to be much more foreign. The situation he described to us was so outlandish that we initially took it as a joke. A very bad joke, maybe, with even worse timing and no punchline at all. It soon became clear to us, though, that we may just have made one of the most important discoveries since the dawn of mankind. Finding the portal had been remarkable in itself, but this took it to a completely different level. From what he described about the place, or more accurately, its inhabitants, we surmised it could not be part of Earth at all. We called them dragons because, according to Reza, that's what they were, or at least what they resembled most. Even though we found it hard to believe, it had been these dragons who sent us all the letters, and what Reza found on the other side was a portal was a whole civilization of them. They could talk, write books, had buildings and electricity. In many ways, their society was actually very similar to our own. So who were they? And where was this place? Could they be aliens? Our speculations led us to conclude otherwise. After all, we knew about the existence of thousands of planets, millions of light years away, that may have been theoretically habitable. Habitable. Yet even then, we had never found conclusive proof in regards to actual alien life forms. Some people brought up the quantum mechanics and parallel universes, but in the end, all of this was just conjecture and ultimately fruitless endeavor, since we neither had the means nor the resources to explore these possibilities in greater detail. I think there's just one more thing worth mentioning.
Excuse me. I'm so sorry.
Before I move on. The previous isolation had been mutual. They hadn't known about other intelligent
allergies. So sorry. So sorry.
And just as we had myths about dragons, they had myths about us. And that was what we knew about them so far. And as interesting as learning those things and debating their cultural significance was, we didn't really know what we should make of it all. Reza apparently was sure of what he was doing, though, as he eventually let us know that they had agreed on a trade. We were to give them a few of our PDA devices, which contained vast amounts of knowledge, dwarfing even that of encyclopedias. In return, they would supply us with generators. Overall, they didn't seem as technologically advanced as we had been, but they did surpass us in that one aspect. Their means of generating energy seemed sustainable.
Oh, hello, chat. Good to see you, Poppy boy. This is new, Poppy boy. Good to see you.
We certainly would be able to put technology like that to good use, and trading mere past knowledge of the human race for something more tangible was a good call on his part.
Thank you. Thank you for blessing me with the sneeze. It was awful sneeze.
That was where I came in. My prior experience in both biology and sociology made me a good fit to deliver our PDA devices for the trade, and while in the Dragon's world, waiting for the prototypes of our generators to be manufactured by them, I would act as an ambassador on humanity's behalf. What a way to make a first impression by a display of mutual goodwill. Everyone benefits, and everyone goes home happy. All is well. At least, that was the plan. Despite the images that living, talking dragons might conjure up in some people's minds, I didn't even think of bringing a weapon myself, considering that they were reportedly friendly and peaceful enough. There was no need for me to fear potential ill intentions like Reza did when he had stepped into unknown territory, and acting as humanity's ambassador, I had to do my best to uphold a high standard in fostering this diplomatic relationship.
Think about my choices. Oh, this is one of those where it's like, oh, if you say this, it actually is gonna mean that.
When the time came for me to step through the portal, all my mental preparedness vanished. My anxiousness was fueled by all the questions lurking in my head, just as the machine started to do its work. Would it hurt? Who would I meet on the other side? What if they really weren't so friendly and just made Reza write those letters with the pretense of appearing friendly, only to lure us into the den of man-eating monsters and certain doom, with us ending up as nothing more than a tasty afternoon snack? Maybe I should have brought a weapon after all. Suddenly, I felt a shiver coursing through my whole body and beyond when I disintegrated, as if every cell, every atom of my body was torn from me and pulled into a different direction.
Is that... That's it. It's doing it.
I saw darkness and light, painting patterns in the stars as I traveled, and images rapidly flashing before me of things unseen and unspoken, both horrifying and beautiful. It was an experience unlike any other, yet over in just a split second.
Yeah, those portal noises. How about them?
Then it was dark. I could only see a patch of light color contrasting with its dark surroundings as my vision started to clear. Its edges got sharper as the patch of light slowly took shape, giving me the distinguished outline of a reptilian head and an array of horns spouting from it.
Oh, this is like Avatar, or now I'm the dragon.
It was a dragon, and as I could now see, a dragon who not only had a pair of round glasses, but also a burgundy tie around its neck.
Remy. In the name of our people, I bid you welcome. If I may introduce myself, I am Remy, your guide and ambassador, a representative of our council.
The dragon spoke. It was one thing to have heard and read about this, but something else entirely to have one standing in front of me, in flesh and blood, and tongue. It was good that all my mental preparedness had disappeared when I was teleported, because nothing could have prepared me for this.
Remy's the best boy, eh?
I'll keep that in mind.
Sorry. I imagine you might still feel the effects of the teleportation. Drowsiness or weakness is not unusual, as is fainting and spontaneous emptying of your bowels, bladder, or stomach. How do you feel?
Rendered speechless, I had totally forgotten that I was shouldering the burden of representing my people to them as well. So much for being professional, but at least he gave me a good excuse for my blunder.
I think I'm all right. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Maybe we should go before it gets too dark. Come with me, please.
So I followed the dragon, not straying too far from him, as the sun had already departed for the day, and the remaining light diminished by the minute.
Auto mod.
It is getting hard to...
It is getting hard to see where I'm going. Sorry about that, but we had a good reason to schedule your arrival like this. We did not want you to be ambushed by a crowd. So, we had to keep your exact time and date of arrival secret. Thanks. I suppose an event like this would make me a celebrity of sorts. It would be the same if one of you came to us. That's quite an understatement. Some people here are rather superstitious. They might regard you or any of your kind as divine, I suppose. Really? How so? We do have certain myths that involve humans, and as such, I suppose the history lesson will have to wait for another time. Here we are.
By this point, it had gotten so dark that I could barely make out the buildings before us. I briefly wondered whether they might have streetlights elsewhere, or if they just did not require any due to possible enhanced eyesight or night vision.
I am the second coming of Jesus to the dragons. It's true. It's very true.
I could vaguely see the dragon, his light color still visible within the blackness that engulfed the area, rear up and manipulate the door handle with one of his forepaws.
Forepaws? Not for the number paws, but four paws.
Hinges creaking, the door opened, and with the flick of a switch the apartment was flooded with light, blinding me after all the time we had just spent without it.
This is where you will live for the time being. It is fully stocked, but in case you need anything else, I left you a note with a few phone numbers. It is getting rather late, so I will have to take my leave now. In any case, someone will come to meet you tomorrow morning. Thank you, Remy. Have a good night. Until we meet again.
With a nod, Remy left the apartment, mindful enough to close the door behind himself. Surveying the room, I considered the events that had just transpired as my gaze met the window. I could see movements outside, and as I drew nearer, startled, I could hear footsteps in the grass, moving away quickly. Assuming it must have been the dragon I just met, I thought nothing of it as I went to bed and slowly succumbed to the sweet allure of sleep overdue.
What a sentence.
I spent a few moments thinking of my role, my mission, and what it meant to be here now. I felt the responsibility placed on my shoulders. I was eager for the adventure to come.
I choose something here. I am eager.
So many possibilities and prospects raced through my mind. Truth be told, the thought of being able to meet an entirely new species and civilization excited me, as I was going to be one of the first to truly experience their society with its own little quirks, differences, and similarities. I couldn't help but feel like some sort of modern Vasco da Gama or Marco Polo. Maybe I would even write a book about the whole experience after it's all over. I was sure it would become a hit, all things considered.
Yeah, it was probably bad to feel great about it, but you should feel the weight of your decisions so that way you can be humbled or something like that.
At any rate, this was going to be fun.
Yeah, so now I'm going to be like and disrespectful or something, right? Oh, you get card. Oh! Chapter 1, Inception. The bottom half of the dragon looks like a cow in that picture. That tarot card. Tarot card.
I awoke from uneasy dreams, looking at an unfamiliar ceiling. Just for a moment, I wondered where I was before the events of last night all came back to me. After a good stretch, I looked around the room, illuminated by the sunlight coming in from the window. Outside in the distance, the portal I had emerged from proudly stood on the peak of a small hill. Getting ready, I noticed something lying on the table. It was the note Remy had left for me in case I needed anything, along with his own home phone and work number. There were also numbers for delivery of food and other necessities, as well as emergency and even janitorial services. He had certainly thought of everything, even though I now had to wonder what a dragon plumber might look like. My musings were interrupted by when the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, I was met by another dragon.
I got his phone number already. That was easy. It was easy. Hello, you must be Seth Trav. I'm Sebastian. I'll be your escort, or, security, I suppose. Usually I work for the police, though. Nice to meet you.
He seemed a lot smaller than Remy, and when he somewhat nervously extended his arm towards me, I noticed he apparently only walked on his hind legs, the two forelimbs instead having distinct arms, hands, and fingers.
Oh, here we go. Here's the choice. I feel like I want to kiss his hand, but I'm going to shake his hand and cut my hand with claws.
When I took his hand into mine to shake it gently, I could feel the individual bumps and scales on his rough skin.
Nice to meet you too, Sebastian. So, where are you taking me? Straight to business, eh? Well, we're going to visit the plant where they're making your generators. They have some news for you, or so I've been told, or so I've heard. Reza will be there too. Sounds great. Just follow me.
While we walked, I was under the impression we were purposefully avoiding the busier parts of town, instead straying towards the edges and small alleys as to not garner too much attention.
He's embarrassed of me, is what it is.
Even then, we got the occasional stare. After just a couple of minutes, we arrived at our destination, where we were met by Reza, and as well as yet another dragon, a vicious-looking beast that didn't stay too close to him.
It's Gary Oak. Come to mess up our journey again. Hey. Reza, long time no see. How true that is. Good to finally see another human face around here. What a coincidence to have you, of all people, show up. Yeah, I guess those degrees aren't so useful after all. By the way, who's your friend? Just my bodyguard, same as yours. Don't bother with him, he doesn't talk much. What?
Just like you.
Very funny. Yeah, that's it. Grimace at me, bruh.
The two dragons exchanged a few words, and as I met the gaze of the larger, tenebrous dragon a few paces from us, Sebastian turned towards me and spoke up again.
Hey, Seth Trav, this is Maverick. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, whatever. Just don't expect me to give you any special treatment like everyone else is, and we'll be good.
What are you talking about?
So you're saying you haven't noticed the stairs? And how they all treat you like you're the next messiah or something?
No, I just thought... I don't remember the voice I was doing for him. We're not the ones making a big deal out of this. You are. We're just here to get what we agreed on, and then we'll be gone. If anything, I'd actually prefer if you left us alone. But you're the one who's insisting on following me around wherever I go.
A growl escaped the darker dragon's trembling lips as he bared his teeth at Reza.
Thank you. I also think the Reza voice is great. Alright, that's quite enough. Let's just go inside already, shall we? After you.
The crisis was quickly averted as we entered the building, which was characterized by its many floors, high ceilings, and long, narrow hallways as Sebastian led us to our destination.
There you are. I was waiting for you. Let's do this one. It looks like scientific. Let's do this one a little bit better. Hey, wait a minute. I thought you were going to meet the guys from production. What are you doing here?
Well, they're only coming in later today, so you'll have to make do with me.
I see. Well, Trav, this is Anna. She kind of manages this building. Oh, actually, she's more involved in the research wing rather than the production and engineering.
Nice to meet you. My pleasure. I have something for you, by the way. It'll take them a while to make all the generators we promised, but we've got one for you here. Feel free to send it home and give it a test.
That's great. I'll take it.
Looks a little small, if you ask me. I don't understand its power. Oh, and do be careful not to drop it.
Yeah, sure. I'll be waiting outside while you do your thing, Trav. I suppose I'll wait for you outside as well.
What thing? Oh, have you brought the PDA? Of course. Here you go. Alright, now to give this thing a test run. The PDA lit up. Her hands swiftly moved across its interface and calculated motions. By the way, would you consider letting me run some tests on you as well? It would only take a drop of your blood. What? Why? I work in biology, so obviously this kind of thing would be very interesting to us. I'd share the results with you, of course.
He sounds like he's on the good stuff. He's on the best stuff, this Reza. I'm gonna say sure, why not, because I hope she clones me into some sort of human-dragon hybrid.
Great!
She was quick to produce a small device from a drawer, which from a glance reminded me a lot of a test tube.
Now, if you would give me your hand, please.
As I reached out to her, she took my hand into hers before she pressed the device into the back of my hand. I winced as a pain jolted through my hand. Something sharp drove itself through my skin, and shortly afterwards, a droplet of blood was sucked into the tube attached to the small needle. She's blushing because she likes the blood.
Thanks.
You're welcome. You gave out of your blood. And you earned a bronze trophy because of giving blood. Cool. I love participation trophies.
Looks like your PDA is good. By the way, so we're just about done here. And since we're both in biology, I could be interesting if you want to meet me some other time as well. Here's my number.
All right. I love how the eyebrows just very.
See you soon.
Well, that was interesting.
Yeah. Did she ask you for your blood too?
Yeah.
Did you give it to her?
There's no what business is it of yours option. I'm gonna tell him yes.
Oh well, that's your choice. We've got no idea what they might do with it though.
I'm getting hungry. How about some breakfast?
I'm all for it. I can't stand early mornings like this.
Well, yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. There's a cafe not far from here. What do you say, Mavers?
I wouldn't mind to grab a bite myself.
I'm gonna use that for his voice, because he seems gruff. That settles it, then.
Luckily for us, the cafe was mostly empty when we arrived, as it was still pretty early in the day. Rezuk was quick to lead me to a table for two, prompting the dragons to get one of their own at the other side of the restaurant.
Ugh, finally. I can't stand that guy being on my tail all the damn time. They say it's for our own security. It does seem rather strange that they need someone following us everywhere. Maybe he likes you. We were approached by an individual who appeared to be the waitress of the cafe. She was an interesting looking dragon who, unlike the others I had seen so far, was more akin to a wyvern. I hope that's how you pronounce that. Wyvern. Possessing two rather large wings as her forelimbs, which resembled those of an oversized bat.
Oh, it's the humans.
Because she works at a diner. You were able to correctly identify species based on what we look like. Congratulations. I'm gonna say wait where. Ha! See? The diner people know.
That was a good one. Welcome to our establishment. My name's AD, and I'll be your waitress today. What can I bring you to?
I don't want to say scrambled eggs because they may lay eggs, and that would be like being like, you're gonna kill my children. No, I'm gonna do whatever the special of the day is. The soup du jour. Yeah, me too. Just make it a quick one.
Sure thing. Two specials coming right up. Get some coffee out there.
As I was saying, if you look at the big picture, don't you think there's just something off about this whole place? Where is it? Really? If this is supposed to be a completely separate place from Earth, or even a different dimension, some things just don't add up. Don't you think so too? I want to be an asshole to this guy. Yeah, let me just grab my tinfoil hat real quick, you nut. I've been here much longer than you have been. Maybe you'll see soon enough. I can't really say much more with you know who over there. He's probably listening to us right now. It doesn't seem so bad to me. When I let my gaze wander, I saw Maverick was looking in my direction. Our eyes met briefly, his expression not showing any discernible emotion, while I wondered whether it had just been a coincidence or if he really was able to hear us from the distance. I'm gonna assume he can, because he's got dragon ears, like, come on. I do have some theories, and if I'm right, we might be in trouble. What kind of trouble? What are you talking about? Shh, quiet. I'll let you know more as soon as I can. But for now, let's just play along. After all, we already have one of these babies. He patted the generator's box for emphasis. God knows we need them. Oh, there she comes. The female returned, astounding me with her ability to balance the dishes on the edges of her wings. She placed her forelimb on the table and proceeded to move the dishes from her wing to us with a gentle push of her snout.
There you go. Watch out, it's a hot plate, honey.
Pfft, now shoo, Scaly Face. Get the hell out of here. Poppy Boy, it's your birthday tomorrow. This is such an amazing early gift. Oh, Poppy Boy. Thank you. Thank you so much. Happy birthday to you. How old will you be? If you're cool with saying that. If not, I'm going to thank them.
You're welcome, honey. Apparently today's special consisted of odd-looking fish of some sort. I was a little hesitant to try it, but considering the steam coming from it, it was probably better to wait a few minutes anyway. When the waitress brought out meals to the two dragons across the cafe and exchanged a few words with them, Reza leaned forward and whispered something to me.
I'll send you a letter with a coded message later. You'll know what to do. Well, happy 19th birthday, Poppy Boy.
Reza rose from his seat before he made it, known to me that he still had a few things to do, and left the restaurant, followed shortly after by the larger of the two dragons.
But you haven't even touched your fish. Now I'm eating it.
I wasn't in a hurry, so I spent a few more minutes in contemplation while I looked out the window. Not that this whole situation was already bizarre enough. There was also now the vague sense of danger conveyed by Reza's earlier words. I did not even have any idea what kind of threat might be lurking out there. Eventually, I took a bite of my somewhat unusual breakfast. While I already thought the smell was quite peculiar, the taste had been even worse. I imagined it might be the kind of delicacy that had an acquired taste. One that I certainly hadn't acquired yet. I decided to get outside before it was too late.
Are you done?
Sure am.
How'd you like it?
I'll just say it's probably not for me.
And you wouldn't be the only one to say that. You better wait outside just in case it decides to come up again.
Ha! Bravery. Bravery for this.
And the trophy.
You try the odd-looking fish.
Sure thing.
I stepped outside, taking in the scenery of this strangely familiar world. In the short time I was here, I had already found the similarities between their world and our own utterly fascinating. After all, we were talking about an unmapped place with a never-before-seen life form of life. As far as discoveries were concerned, even something as simple as the new unicellular organism, or even bacteria, would have been remarkable. Yet, here I was, standing in the middle of a village evidently built by this race of intelligent talking dragons with a society not unlike our own. Reza didn't seem to share the same interest, and instead was more smitten with the generator. But given our reasons for coming here in the first place, I wouldn't blame him for his enthusiasm being focused on something else. My thoughts were interrupted as something suddenly zipped past me just a little too close, causing me to stumble back. It was a rather small dragon with a big bag clamped. That was it. A bag clamped in its maw, who had apparently had somewhere to be.
You 100%ed this game. Brother, walk me through.
I regained my footing and watched as it disappeared into the distance, even though I'd seen enough dragons to recognize their variations in size, color, and other attributes. I guess this one must have been a juvenile of its species. Shortly afterwards, Sebastian joined me outside, having taken care of the tab.
I gave a rather generous tip on your behalf. I hope you don't mind.
How nice of you.
In any case, now that you've given us the PDA and Reza has the generator, you're free for today. So if you want to go anywhere in particular, let me know, or I could show you around town.
I was tempted to be given a tour, but considering Reza's words, I wanted to be careful and not stray too far without knowing more about this world first.
I think I'll stay home for today. I still have to get used to everything, you know? I'll just accompany you back then.
That's right. I don't need the lead. We're having a good old time here, Poppy Boy.
There we are.
Home sweet home. For now, at least.
Well, if you need anything, I'll be outside until my shift ends. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks. See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
I hadn't really looked at the apartment much, so I spent the rest of the day investigating it and relaxing. I considered checking out some of the phone numbers Remy had left me, but I thought it was better to keep a low sneezing. I'm so sorry. Gunzoon tight. Grummy had left me, but I thought it was better to keep a low profile for now. I found the kitchen fully stocked with plenty of groceries, though the variety was wasted on me. I hadn't been a particularly great cook in the first place, but what was more, I didn't even recognize some of the things I found there.
What kind of phrase is that? But what was more? Ugh.
Whether there were edibles that we had back home that I just didn't know about, or something completely alien, I wasn't sure. But I didn't want to take the risk of eating anything I didn't know.
I am allergic to the dragons, as it turns out.
After all, it was possible that some of the comestibles might be fine for them to eat, but still be poisonous to us. I was also glad to find a shelf that was filled to the brim with a variety of books. While I found the subject matter of man, myth, or reality to be quite intriguing, I had to give up after just a few pages due to exceptionally dry writing style, which I wasn't inclined to enjoying at the moment. In the end, I settled for an adventure novel about a dragon archaeologist who stumbles upon the remains of a long-lost human civilization, after which she is hunted by an evil organization who wants to use the found magical artifacts for its own nefarious purposes. While entertaining, I had to admit that it reminded me a little too much of the trashy novels we had at home. I certainly found it amusing that certain tropes were not really unique to us as a species, though I wondered whether this kind of literature had fallen into disfavor here, as it had back where I had come from.
Disfavor? I think smut is ever popular here in the world at large.
I was reading a particularly exciting scene in which the hero, Sheridan, uses one of the magical artifacts shaped like a pair of human hands holding a scepter with a globe at the top to prevent herself from being crushed and ground into a bloody pulp by an ancient human temple's moving walls, when I suddenly heard the doorbell ring.
Doorbell. Nice effect. Hell. Yeah, that's it. Slow pan all the way down. Hello there. Would you please sign this?
I'm not signing away my rights with this, am I?
I've got a letter for you that requires signature confirmation.
I see. Looking over the clipboard the small dragon was holding up to me, I saw that the sender of the letter in question was Reza.
There you go.
Lorem.
I'm Lorem, by the way. Would you mind if I asked you a few questions?
I feel like I'm doing the same voice.
Wheeze. What's this about? I'm just making small talk. Wait a minute. I recognize you. You try to do the same thing with Reza. Maybe I should report you to your superiors for inappropriate behavior towards your clients. Oh, but it's important. Please. Just let me talk to Seth Trav for a few minutes. You know how it is. If you want to interview with one of the humans, you'll have to get permission from the proper authorities. Help me out here, Seth Trav. As an ambassador, you care about the accurate portrayal of humans in the media, don't you? Then you should talk to me. Otherwise, someone else will fill in the blanks. Who knows what they will come up with?
He is a fanboy. Oh.
Let me show you something.
The small dragon opened his bag, rummaging through a number of letters and small packages.
Oh, I think I lost it. Anyway, I wanted to show you some pictures of what people think humans look like. On some of them, they have 4 heads and look nothing like you. It's crazy.
What are you, Lorem? A reporter?
No, I'm just...
Do you want me to remove him, Seth Trav? Is what he is saying true?
Yeah, I guess.
I see. That sounds pretty interesting, though. Alright, you can leave your number here. Maybe I'll call you later, but that's all I can promise.
Thank you. Thank you so much. He quickly produced a small sheet of paper and scribbled his number on it. Afterwards, he sheepishly presented it with both hands. Yeah, really? Really is a fanboy. Alright, you got what you wanted, now go off. Now off you go. Now. Rah, rah, rah. Eee! Lord. Sorry about that. Don't worry about it. I guess that should be all. I'll see you tomorrow then. Right. With all the commotion, I almost forgot that I was also still holding Reza's letter. Within the plain envelope was a similarly plain sheet of paper with his handwriting. When I started reading it, however, I saw that his wording was so full of pleasantries I knew he hated that I assumed every word of it was faked as to conceal its true intent. He did mention I'd know what to do, but I was unsure of how I was supposed to decode the letter's secret message. I didn't remember ever having a conversation about this topic with him, yet he still relied on me to remember whatever it was that I was missing, or he thought I would just be able to figure it out on my own. This is what it said. Hello, my dear friend. I hope this letter reached you swiftly and in good condition. Unfortunately, we were not able to catch up earlier, so I wanted to write you this letter. How have you been these last few years? What have you been doing? How's the family? I feel like there's so much we should talk about since we have not seen each other much recently. At least we have a chance to do so in this form. Quite an exciting venture we are on now, right? How have you liked it here so far? Made any dragon friends yet? Anyways, I'll be looking forward to your reply soon. Best regards, Reza. Various things came to mind. Only reading certain words through letters was one that I thought of immediately, but I couldn't make out anything after trying to find a system within its array of letters and lines. Maybe I had to look more carefully. Let's read between the lines. Lines, of course. Maybe I was supposed to read between them. I didn't have an implementation on me, which I would have been able to read the fine print. Though, with this handwritten letter, I doubted Reza would have done anything of the sort. I'm gonna look for the hints. Or maybe he referred to the fact that we were both given an apartment. Considering the things they provided us, maybe I just had to find the right object to decode the message. There were many everyday items here, though. And of course, I still had no idea what in particular I was looking for. Bookshelf. Variety of books on different topics. Behind the books. Maybe Reza left me another message here at some point. He could have known that I was going to live here. So I suppose it is possible that he helped with the preparations and hid something for me to find. No, even after removing every single book from the shelf, there is still no indicator of anything that would help me decode its secret message. But even if Reza did leave me a hint, this could have been anywhere in the apartment, and not just on the bookshelf. Maybe something to do with the books. The shelf is full of them. What? Bathroom. Okay. I'm going to go to the bathroom. Really? An invasion by human aliens? Is that what they think we're like? Okay, I'm gonna go back. Look at the bathroom. Let's look in the cabinet. No razors. There are some pain meds, though. No. I'm gonna wait. Haha, no shampoo to be found anywhere, of course. And no hint either, just some body wash. Yeah, okay, you know what? I'm gonna take the pill then. I'm not sure if this is a good idea, but here we go. meds. Yeah, I mean, I took the meds. I'm gonna look in the fridge. More? Do more meds? Alright. I'm gonna go do more meds. I'll take more meds. Again? Alright, yeah. I'm feeling strange. I suppose one more med can't hurt. What? How long was I gone, and why did I think eating a whole bunch of pain medication would somehow help my surge? You took some pain medication. This was not a good idea. Okay. Well, that was fun. Thank you for getting me to overdose. Oh my god. I'm gonna examine this unlabeled container with some weird white liquid. Oh my god, what? You drank this salty white liquid? Butter's creamy goo. I don't think I should crack open an egg, right? It's just a slab of meat, nothing special. Pasteurized. I feel like if I crack an egg open, they're gonna be awful. Let's look at the pantry. Date. Step on it. No hint there. Fig. Adam and Eve. What did I do in the kitchen? I had weird liquid. Sycophant. Wow. All this fig stuff. Let's go back. Let's go back. Bookshelf? The sphere and how to use it. Yeah. Step one. Fig, you're it out. I did look at a fig. I didn't really read what the fig was saying, though. I should have read it better. It did say an awful lot. Now I know how to work the Oxyman sphere, whatever that is. Cool. Look in the kitchen. Okay. We will go look in the kitchen. Thank you. Yeah. Let's go back then. Look in the fridge. I think we already did the fridge though. Do I just crack open eggs? Pantry. A lemon. Lemon juice. All right. Of course, lemons. We learned that in chemistry. Of course. Who didn't know lemon juice was used to do the oxidizing of hidden messages? That is how they did it in the ancient times.
He really expected me to remember a random chemistry class that happened years ago, but then I did remember it after all.
Meet me at the portal tonight, 10 p.m.
Was all the message said. I wasted a good amount of time, but I still had some time left before I have to go meet Reza, so I decided to make some lunch. I did waste a good amount of time, man. Afterwards, I resumed reading my book about the continuing adventures of Sheridan and her exploits in destroying cultural artifacts. Unsurprisingly, it came to a happy end with an evil organization stopped in its tracks, at least for now. I thought the ending was deliberately left open for ambiguity, but when I turned the page, I saw the advertisement for the next entry in this apparently long-running series of books. I realized all of this had just been a ploy to set up for the inevitable sequel.
Is that foreshadowing for this game?
Luckily, the disappointment didn't last long as I had to get going to meet Reza at the portal. When I got outside, it didn't seem quite as dark as it was when I arrived yesterday. I might have had difficulties finding my way otherwise, but I could still see the portal in the distance. As I was walking, I wondered if anyone was following me, but the land seemed oddly deserted. Was everyone already sleeping?
Grab a sip of my coffee here, my word.
Eventually, I arrived at my destination. Reza was already standing idly by the portal, his fidgeting making it obvious that he had waited just for me.
I was already wondering whether you'd get it at all. Guess I did. What a wonderful night it is.
I hope he tries to kiss me.
Just look up at the stars. You can see them so clearly here, without all the pollution lingering in the air like back home. Almost as if we're looking right into the face of eternity itself. For so long, humanity thought we'd find aliens out there. Yet, after all these years, we found we were still alone in the universe. Turns out we were just not looking in the right place.
What's going on, Reza? Why'd you call me here at this time?
For one, because we're sending the generator home. Right before I was sent here, they told me they would limit the use of the...
Wait, I don't know. This might be me saying it. In order to keep in contact with us and enable us to send things home over to them, the portal would be open for just a quarter of an hour each day. Sending something back home wasn't really problematic for us since the high energy expenditure associated with sending bigger objects only affected the sender, not the receiver. However, this also meant that until all business was concluded in regards to our trade with the PDAs and the generators, we were basically stuck here.
As for the other, do you know what this place is?
You said something about trouble? How much danger are we in? Really?
More than enough. I'm afraid this whole place will be gone soon, and we better not be here when it happens.
What are you talking about?
I hoped you'd see it too, but then it took me a while to understand, and I had a head start on you. In any case...
While he was speaking, my gaze wandered and fixed on some movement nearby. It was hard to make out anything, but I imagined it might just have been wind blowing through the nearby shrubbery, except for the fact that there was no wind. Reza?
This might take a while to explain, but we've got the whole night.
Reza, look. He turned around to face whatever I was seeing. He squinted hard before he called out.
You! How dare you follow me, even here?
The disturbance came closer until it became clear that it was Maverick, who had hidden nearby to listen in on our conversation. I knew you were up to no good. What were you talking about? What are you planning? Here, some kind of attack?
Wait a minute. There's no reason for...
Don't try to deny it. I heard you both talking about it in the cafe. I saw the letter. You think I couldn't smell the lemon on it? Pathetic. You'll have to come with me to the police station now. Both of you.
Come on. Oh, what?
He's got a gun!
He must be an American. Reza, what are you doing?
Come on, Seth Tram, let's get out of here.
In the dragon's side, I could see that the wound where the bullet had penetrated his side.
Oh, he shot him?
God, a trickle of blood straining his dark scales in the earth beneath. Reza used the opportunity to run off in some direction. I wasn't sure which. I frantically scanned my surroundings looking for Reza, though he had already vanished into the darkness. What was I supposed to do? Run away as well? Help Maverick? I was just a diplomat. I had no idea what was happening. Suddenly the dragon whipped around, hitting me in the guts with his thick tail. I was lifted off the ground briefly before I felt the impact of my body hitting the ground hard enough that my vision blurred almost immediately.
Broke my ribs, bro.
A deafening roar battered my ears. Was this his cry for help? I could barely move, but I found it better not to try, as to not startle the wounded dragon more than he already was. It certainly would have ended badly for me if he tried anything. I heard him take a few unsure steps before he lay down on the ground, panting. I'm still watching you, you know. You better not move, for your own good. If I have to get up again and come after you in this condition, I can promise you I won't be nice. It took a few minutes of listening to his labored breathing before someone arrived. It was two dragons. The first I recognized as Sebastian. The other one I didn't know. I heard Sebastian and Maverick exchange a few words when the stocky fellow approached me.
Ooh, is this the chief? Should have brought a grenade launcher.
Hey, kid. You alright?
Still feeling a little dizzy.
I'm Bryce, the chief of police in this town.
Let me think of a different accent.
Chicago! I'm Bryce, the chief of police in this town. Can you tell me what happened?
I don't know. We'll get there. Reza shot Maverick and ran off.
Is that so?
His face was stern and seemingly lost in thought as I overheard Sebastian's conversation.
Yeah, but the flyer on duty, he probably won't find him now. Not here in the darkness at any rate.
Well, that's just brilliant.
What do you think, Chief? Sit, Trev, can you walk?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, Sebastian, take Trev to the apartment. Get us some help here for Maverick, and then we'll look for Reza. All right, on. Come on, Trev. I'll help you out.
I was still shaken up by the events I just witnessed when I arrived at my apartment. Not knowing anything better to do, I soon fell into a deep slumber. The next day, I awoke with many questions lingering in my head. I considered calling someone from the police department to ask about Reza and Maverick, but in the end I decided against doing so as I was sure they would contact me if they had anything to tell me. I knew it was no use worrying about it for now, so I settled for starting another book. It didn't take very long, though, before the doorbell rang. Did Bryce, the chief of police, take it upon himself to escort me today? Oh, it's you again.
Are you surprised?
No, but I guess it'll be bad news.
Afraid so. How you holding up?
Better than yesterday, that's for sure.
Let's go for a walk then, shall we?
Sure. This time I was taken along a different route than yesterday, and I was quite sure there was more to this than just taking a walk. I'll just go ahead and guess you didn't find Reza.
Yeah, we hoped you would have come back on his own by now. Do you have any ideas where he might be? Maybe he mentioned some sort of place in particulars that holds some sort of meanings to him.
No, not really. We didn't get a chance to talk much at all yesterday before.
There's that too.
I have no idea why Reza would have done something like that. I had the impression that they weren't very fond of each other, but this... How is he, by the way?
Oh, Maverick is doing fine. But there's plenty of blame to go around. You're right, they didn't particularly like each other. In his statement, Maverick says he suspected Reza of planning some sort of attack there. Do you know anything about it?
No, he only told me that something was going to happen, not that he was planning anything. At least that was the impression I got.
He's suspecting you too, by the ways. That you both planned this all from the beginnings.
No, that wouldn't make any sense. Actually, none of this is making any sense. Why would we go through all the lengths of our agreement only to jeopardize it by doing something like this? You even already have our PDAs, and we don't have much to show for it yet. If we had any nefarious plans, this wouldn't have been a very good idea.
Hey, you got a point, Stairs. I believe yous. But from our side, we only have Maverick's word on the whole matters. After all, he was one who suspected the most. He's the one who spent the most times there with Reza's since he's arrived in his. But even then, he didn't really have any reason to follow you yesterday's, and his behavior was completely out of line. I'm just glad you come out here fine. He wasn't on mandatory sick leave, he would be suspended right now. We'll have to wait until this whole thing is over before we decide what's to do with him. I can assure yous, this won't be taken lightly.
Where I come from, this kind of attack on a diplomat would be classified as an act of war, punishable by death. Where I come from, that is a typical start to the school week.
Maybe's.
We still got quite a lot on our hands now, though. We have a wounded dragon and a missing human. This could lead to a diplomatic crisis.
Maybe Reza's will shows up soon, and we can get all of this behind us.
I hope so too. I really wouldn't want to jeopardize everything over this unfortunate incident.
How's about we both just keep quiet about these old things for now? After all, I don't think any of us wants our peoples panicking about this already, right?
I merely nodded in agreement. Eventually, we arrived at the police station where the chief took my formal statement in regards to yesterday's events. Neutral. Oh, cool. I didn't know that there were all these things. I am going to save here because this has been over an hour. And yeah, that's going to be that for me, ladies and gentlemen. I have been Seth Trav. Thank you so much for coming by this stream. Thank you for joining us on Angels with Scaly Wings. If you want to see more, get at me in the comments. Get at us at that YouTube. It is /Preach Network on YouTube. If you want more, let me know. We'll be back tomorrow with another game. And I don't remember what it's called, but we will be back tomorrow, or maybe a little bit today. Who's to say? Until then, always practice what you preach.